Conversations recorded.
I've got it, Bassem.
You got awesome. You're awesome, Krista. All right. So Farmville doesn't exist anymore. But since that time, computers have become much faster. Graphics have improved a lot, and technology's become much more entrenched in our lives. In fact, the smartphones that we hold in our hands today are more powerful and more capable than any computer that existed 10 years ago. And that's opened up a whole new world of possibilities. So much so that now we're giving a new name to the internet, which is a new version called Web 3.0. So this is a slide I wanted to summarize in the simplest way I can. And for those of you familiar with these logos on the screen that says Web 1.0, I'm sure you've used them in the past, like Yahoo Mail and a Google search and Internet Explorer to look up web pages. The idea of Web 1.0, now that we're at 3.0, they're giving them names. So the idea of 1.0 was that you open a web browser, you put in an address, and you can get to a website. For example, you can get to a website of your favorite magazine or newspaper, and you can read articles. And you can even pay money to subscribe to that website, and that subscription will give you exclusive articles, exclusive content on that website. After that, Web 2.0 came, and that added a lot more interaction on the internet. So now you could open your own Facebook page with your own picture and your own name. You can have an Instagram page and you can have your own followers. You can create a YouTube channel and you can upload your videos, and you can even have people communicate with you and talk to you and interact back and forth with the content that you created yourself. All this content you created was put on a platform. So you would use the platform of YouTube or you would use the platform of Facebook to put your content out there. And those platforms would sell your information to advertisers. And in return, they would put up advertisements that are relevant to what you're talking about. And that's how companies like Google became so big. Also, they would share advertising revenues with their creators to motivate people to continue to do that. Okay, that's the internet we know today. Now we're going to Web 3.0, which is, in fact, you are the creator of the content. You own the digital keys and the digital assets of your content, and you're not using or required to use any platform of any corporation. And the whole buzzword behind Web 3.0 is decentralized. So you're going to hear the word decentralized a lot in this presentation, because with Web 3.0, you're not required to use Facebook and adhere to their rules. You can create your own platform, you can sell your own content, or you can say monetize your own content, and you can do different things that will allow new possibilities that you couldn't do in the past. So again, Web 1.0 was your reading, Web 2.0 was they're selling your information to advertisers, and Web 3.0 is you are the owner of everything you could put out there. Well, the reason this has become possible now is because of this new technology of computers called blockchain. Blockchain is a series of connected computers, but they have a very unique feature to them. And the idea is that every single computer on the blockchain has its own database. Each database is shared with the next computer. And all those computers are constantly updating each other's databases every time there's a new transaction. So they're constantly checking each other for a perfect match and making sure not a single transaction is missed on the entire network. It's a very, very advanced system of network computers. But the strangest part, the most bizarre part of all of this is that nobody owns this outright. There isn't a single corporation, entity, or government that owns or controls the blockchain. And also another thing, that it's completely anonymous. So for example, if you go today to open a bank account with RBC, they're going to ask you for your driver's license, your home address. But if you go onto the blockchain and you want to open an account, you can tell them my account name is yada, yada, yada. They'll put it down. It's yours. That's it. That's all they need to know. It's just numbers and code. in order to demonstrate to you what's different about blockchain versus the way things happen now, is the way I can use an example of how our money system works. Here in Canada, we have the Central Bank of Canada, or it's called the Bank of Canada, which is the image on the left side of the picture. The Bank of Canada has the ability to issue the Canadian dollar. They can make laws, and they can allow us to buy and sell goods with Canadian dollar being legal tender. They can make us pay our taxes, and they can make the government guarantee the Canadian dollar by making the government buy Canadian dollar bonds. So the government buys bonds all the time. So again, with the bank example, when you go to open a bank account, you would not go to the Bank of Canada to open a bank account. Instead, you would go to RBC, you would go to CIBC or TD, and you would open an account with them. RBC will take your deposits, but if RBC has your account, then another bank called CIBC doesn't know what's inside your RBC account. They don't have access to what's in it. Each bank keeps its own ledger. Each bank has its own computer network or computer system, which is separate from the others. So when you go to a store to buy something with your credit card or your debit card, you have a payment terminal. And this payment terminal swipes your card, sends a message to the bank, makes sure you have enough money, then approves the transaction. This happens pretty quickly nowadays. But with the blockchain, now there's no need for that payment terminal or that middleman, because what's in RBC, whatever you have in RBC, the Bank of Canada has access to that. Whatever is in CIBC, RBC could check on that. And whenever there's a transaction in CIBC, TD Bank will receive an automatic record of that transaction right away. So there's no need for a central database and a clearinghouse and information going inside and outside. It's all shared all together all the time. And then that allows us to cut out the payment terminal, which takes 2.5% of a fee on every transaction that happens through them. So this is what we're getting at, called decentralized finance, or DeFi. And this is only possible because the blockchain network has a system of sharing ledgers with everybody else. There's no central database on the blockchain. And now, thanks to blockchain and thanks to Web 3.0, we have seen the introduction of this thing called cryptocurrencies. So I'm hoping everybody here has at least heard of Bitcoin. I'm not able to see much of the chats, but I'm not hearing much, but I'll keep going. But I'm hoping everyone here has heard of Bitcoin. But in case you're probably of the impression, or maybe one of the people that thinks Bitcoin is used by criminals to do illegal activities, I want to tell you, please right now, erase that idea out of your head. Because if you think Bitcoin is used for underworld illegal stuff, then you're going to be left very, very far behind what's coming. Bitcoin is a new currency which is made of computers mining code and using that code to create one-time authentic currencies which cannot be duplicated, and also which has a finite supply. So you cannot print Bitcoin forever. It's as if you're going into a physical gold mine, you're digging up the earth, you find all the iron ore, gold ore deposits, you take it out of the ground, and then you say, this mine is finished. There's nothing else we can take out of it. I've actually been hearing about Bitcoin back since the year 2010. And true story, in the year 2015, I actually met a guy on a beach in Thailand who is living off of his Bitcoin earnings because he made a lot of money selling Bitcoin because he bought very early. So maybe you're thinking he should have waited a bit longer, because during the pandemic in the year 2020 and 2021, Bitcoin reached the price of an all-time high. And yet some people still consider Bitcoin to be extremely risky, and because the price changes as often as a teenager's mind on crack. So not many people like that instability part of Bitcoin. However, the two main coins that you see here on the screen are the ones I want you to know about. Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two dominant players in the world of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is for money, used to pay. It's used as money, and Ethereum can be used as money, but it's also used as a platform. So if I want to kind of make it similar to what we're used to, when you go to an ATM machine to pull out your money, the money that comes out of the ATM machine is Bitcoin. The ATM machine itself is Ethereum. So that ATM machine can give you Canadian dollars, can give you US dollars. So Ethereum can be used to create all kinds of other cryptocurrencies. In fact, there is this one guy who made this one cryptocurrency pretty famous. I'm pretty sure you've all seen this guy before. So this guy said, well, before I say what he said, I have a personal confession to make for you. The personal confession is that me personally, I was actually entirely against cryptocurrency trading, cryptocurrency buying, all that stuff. I used to have a big argument with my brother. He was buying Bitcoin and he was trying to convince everybody else to buy Bitcoins because he was buying it too. And I told him, look, the day that I can go to Tim Hortons and buy a cup of coffee using Bitcoin is the day I'm going to buy Bitcoin. Well, let's come back to this guy on the screen you see here, because in March of 2021, he said to the world that you can buy a Tesla car using Bitcoin. So I told myself, now if I can buy a car using Bitcoin, I'm in. And that's the day I bought Bitcoin. And since then, I bought quite a few more. So ladies and gentlemen, that day is here that you can actually use Bitcoin or any other crypto to buy coffee. And I want to show you on the screen. I don't know if you can see this card I'm holding in my hand, but this is a crypto company. They're actually called crypto.com. They've issued me a Visa card, and I can literally go swipe this Visa card anywhere that they accept Visa, and I can use my crypto money to buy real physical goods and services anywhere that Visa is accepted. I even heard Landmark might be making their own cryptocurrency, but I don't know if that's a rumor or it's true or it's happening. I'm not sure yet. Anyhow, we've talked about blockchain, we've talked about Web 3.0, we've talked about crypto. All of this is the building blocks to the next thing, which is virtual land and virtual real estate. I'm going to play a video and I'm going to talk while it's playing in the background. Let me just put it on mute. Okay, so, oh, excuse me. Let me go back and play that again. Okay, so while this is talking, I want to talk to you about this place called Decentraland. Decentraland is a land that is decentralized. So back to that buzzword. This is a place where today people are creating digital worlds. They're buying real estate in virtual spaces. They're building real estate. They're inviting people to come in and play in their real estate. And all of this is being recorded on the blockchain network using Ethereum. So when people are buying and selling real estate in virtual spaces, that tells you that there's real estate contracts, there's brokers, and there's even titles being transferred. Decentraland, what you see here, actually has a head start on the whole ecosystem because they are inviting big names and big players to come in. So what you're seeing on your screen on this video right now is an auction house called Sotheby's. And Sotheby's sells artwork, and they have a 150-year history, if not longer, of being this auction house in London. So what they did is they bought a piece of land in Decentraland where they're putting up digital artwork in a building that is an exact replica of their building in London, in the UK. And you can walk around this building as if you were in their building in London, and you can look at virtual art. And guess what? You can even buy the virtual art. And yes, people are actually buying, putting bids and buying auction art, just like you see on the screen right here. And they're buying this virtual art using cryptocurrency, I must add. Another company that's also in Decentraland is called TerraZero. TerraZero is a Canadian company. They're based in British Columbia. They're listed on the Canadian stock market, on the Canadian Securities Exchange. And they're betting their whole entire future on virtual real estate. In fact, so much so that they took $2.7 million of real money. They bought virtual land in Decentraland. And now they have all this land, which they want to sell. They want to use to build real estate. They want to create advertising space and sell advertising dollars in Decentraland. They want to put up events and invite you to come in to attend their virtual concerts and their virtual movies. And there's even something beyond that. There's a bank called HSBC, which I'm sure you've all heard of the bank HSBC. HSBC is even going to be one of the tenants in Decentraland, where they're going to put up a virtual branch of HSBC to give you virtual mortgages to buy virtual land. So each piece of land is 16 meters, or sorry, each parcel of estate in Decentraland is 16 meters squared. And that works out to about $10 per square foot. So if you think that's a good deal, maybe you should buy while it's still cheap. And again, this is all happening with contracts in real estate, with brokers, and with legal binding commitments. I don't know at this point if you still think this is all child's play or a little bit maybe gamish, maybe it's just like an entertainment venue. But let me tell you who's going big on virtual real estate. And that's a company that used to be called Facebook. So they changed their name, Meta. And I hope you're starting to make the connection that we live in a universe and Meta is supposed to be the metaverse. So we live in a physical world and they're creating the virtual world. And Meta today is trying very, very hard to merge the physical world with the virtual world so that they come together in a very seamless way, so that you cannot even differentiate anymore if you are living in a virtual world or a physical world, because to them it's all going to be one. So I'm playing this video for you in the background while I tell you a little bit more that they're spending money, real money, and they're spending huge money because they're betting their whole entire future of the business on us, you, everybody sitting in the lunchroom, Jody onwards, after you. All of us they want us to be taking part in this kind of a meeting, in this kind of a space. And I'll say this again, they spent $10 billion, real money, in 2021 to build this place. What you see on the screen right now is this room where it was designed by an artist. It was consulted by an architect. The architect got programmers to put computer code, and then they invited virtual people to come inside to play what you saw earlier in the video, virtual poker. Mind you, right now, the most popular destination in Decentraland is the casino, where everybody goes to play poker with virtual chips, and they win virtual money. So now I'm wondering if you're all still thinking if this is a little bit too far-fetched, if this is a bit too sci-fi, or if you think there's a real business use case behind it. I'm going to go on to the next slide and tell you what I think is the useful thing coming out of all this. And that's what's called smart contracts. So I'm here now at this new technology that's emerging that I think can benefit us, not necessarily that we're all going to be having personal avatars in Metaverse, but I think in our business, the contract has the ability to evolve. It takes a normal contract, which is a document containing terms, has the parties to the contract, and it turns it all into a program using code. So just like a smartphone, whenever you press a button, it will perform an action. Smart contracts can perform actions whenever you trigger an event. So for example, right now, whenever we have a client that signs a new lease contract, well, if that was a smart lease contract, then as soon as they sign it, automatically everybody would get a email generating copy to everyone, and an invoice would be sent automatically, and that client would automatically pay us for their invoice because everything is just code. What if you were buying or selling a piece of land? Well, again, if it was a smart contract, as soon as somebody pays, then that title of the land would automatically transfer over. And remember, all of this can happen even if our offices are closed, even if people are on vacation, the smart contract has the ability to execute. So the possibilities are quite interesting. And here are the features of this contract on the screen, and here's the things it can do. And a lot of different industries are starting to try and find uses for a smart contract. And smart contracts, again, are built on the blockchain network, and they use this thing called NFTs. I don't know if you've heard the word NFTs or not, but from now on, I'm sure you're going to start noticing that it's being used a lot in the news, non-fungible token or NFT. And that's a piece of code that exists on the blockchain network that can contain, for example, a smart contract. Smart contracts may be a bit challenging to put at first, and there's a cost and a fee to using every one of these contracts. But in my mind, they're the evolution of a signed paper contract. And personally, I see this as something that can be very useful in our business. It's almost like going from the fax machine to the email. So if anybody today asks you for your fax number, you would look at them like a dinosaur, because why would you use a fax machine when you can use email? So maybe in a few years from now, it'd be like, why are you asking me to sign this contract and PDF it and email it back to you when I could just do a smart contract, press a button on my phone, and boom, everything's complete. I'm going to start to wrap up now. Just the last slide. Who knows how things are going to go ahead, but I wanted to take a few minutes out of your day today to talk to you about Decentraland and blockchain and smart contracts. My goal today was kind of to connect the dots between our universe and the metaverse, and to highlight what's coming on and what's happening in the virtual world. It's a lot more to it than just a game called Farmville that I started off with. It's more about open-ended questions, such as, for example, in the future, if a client wants to pay us our commission using Bitcoin, should we accept that? It's an interesting question. And it's kind of difficult to grasp, I admit. This whole concept of virtual is very difficult because we're used to the physical world. And in the physical world, we have 5 senses, which are our sense of touch, taste, sound, sight, and smell, right? But in the virtual world, we have one more sense we get to use. That one sense we get to use is more powerful than all our 5 senses combined, and that is our imagination. And with that, I'm finished my presentation, and I'd be more than happy to hear your thoughts and reflections on what you just heard.
No, someone, there you go. Bassem.
Yes.
So